It's Friday, and I am fired up today. Jasmine Crockett, the loudest, most obnoxious mouth in Congress, is finally being exposed. Not by her opponents, but by her own fed-up staff. They are blowing the whistle on what they call a no-show nightmare boss who treats the people around her like their personal servants. And they say she has zero interest in actually doing her job. This is a brutal blow for Crockett as she desperately clings to her seat in Congress, all while trying to sell the image of a strong, independent, hardworking, compassionate Black woman. But according to her own team, that image is nothing more than a cheap fake. As always, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 200,000 subscribers, so if you could smash that like button for me, or as one viewer likes to say, help me feed the algorithm monsters, I would greatly appreciate it. And let me know if you want to see this kicked out of Congress.
Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of okay, we know that.
Kind of like, the orange orangutan, the Timu Hitler.
They understand that we have a Timu Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States.
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your
We will not allow a bully to punch us in our face. We are not only going to punch you back, but we are going to knock you out.
That's in public. So imagine what she is saying in private. Now, Crockett staffers, they say when the cameras are off, Crockett is not in the office. She's holed up in her luxury apartment, barking orders and screaming at staff. Quote, she is laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them. Now, most members of Congress, they ride in their staffers' vehicles to the Capitol. But apparently Jasmine Crockett, she won't get in a car unless it's a rented Escalade. And she refuses to walk just a few blocks to the Capitol without a chauffeured ride. One aide said she makes them act like Uber drivers, insisting she sits in the back seat, and worse, she makes them stand outside her door and open it for her. They're also sharing that Crockett only shows up to the office when there are cameras for her to perform in front of. Quote, she is focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress. Crockett's all diva, no wow. Now, what's being described here, this is not public service. It is a taxpayer-funded reality show, and Jasmine Crockett, she thinks she's the star of a show nobody asked for. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says Crockett is not the only diva to walk the halls of Congress.
There were a couple members, some have passed away now, the exact same thing where the staff had to sit outside the apartment with the car running, and it was just 2 blocks away where I'd walk from my apartment to the Capitol. They would literally get to be able to walk onto the airplane, carry the suitcase, and put it up. And this one member, she was from Texas as well, and she was a Democrat woman, and she got off the plane one time just because she wanted to make another phone call. They closed the door. She was pounding on it, and the pilot literally took her purse, because it was on the plane, put it out the window and dropped it. And she got banned from flying that airline ever again.
Was it Sheila Jackson Lee?
I think you know who we're talking about.
K-Mac. Oh my God, that's a good one.
I can only imagine Jasmine Crockett now panicking over this leak of damaging information. And while she's doing that, other Democrats are declaring they're all in on launching a nuclear war.
This is very dangerous. That everything we're doing right now smacks of the Cold War. And what we're talking about is launching nukes at each other. If you launch missiles at us, we have to launch missiles at you, and it will never end.
Democrats say they are willing to nuke the system over district lines. They're threatening filibusters, court packing, even constitutional chaos, all because they don't like the congressional maps. The same party that cries about protecting democracy is ready to torch it all for power.
The Democrats win the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2028, which is not impossible. They are just going to have to unilaterally add Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia states, and they may have to expand the court to 13 members. If you want to save democracy, I think you got to do all of those things.
James Carville is taking this meltdown so seriously that he's ready to colonize an island and slap a few extra stars on the flag. And just when you think it can't get more absurd, New York Governor Kathy Hokll, she steps up with a claim so delusional that you're going to want to put your drink down for this because it's a choking hazard. Watch.
This is how they're going to play the game. We're going to fight fire with fire. I didn't want to take on this fight. I've always followed the rules. Democrats always follow the rules. But when they're willing to do this to subvert our democracy, shame on us if we don't stand up.
Just so we're clear, in 2022, New York's own Court of Appeals struck down the Democrat-passed maps that were signed off by Hokll for being unconstitutional and biased, violating their own state constitution. You can't make this up. Here's the vice president weighing in on the census scandal.
California has way more House seats than it should because they have such a high population of illegal aliens. So they get rewarded for welcoming illegal aliens into their state, giving them federal benefits, actually asking the taxpayers of states like Ohio to subsidize them. And then those same taxpayers in Ohio and Indiana and elsewhere, they have fewer congressional representatives because of what California has allowed to happen. That's ridiculously unfair.
The rhetoric coming from the left shows just how terrified Democrats are of a Republican administration that actually fights back. This is the party that tried to bury Trump under 700 years of prison time. And now they're losing it over a census report. The left's entire strategy depends on illegal immigration. Open borders? They're not about compassion. They're about padding voter rolls.
One of the big things is it helps decide congressional maps.
Right.
Does this have everything to do with redistricting?
Well, it does. In fact, we know the 2020 census, the errors were almost always to the detriment of red states. Blue states like Rhode Island.
Do we know that?
We do know that. The Census Bureau's own audit of its work has proven that. Blue states like Rhode Island were overcounted. Rhode Island then didn't lose a seat. Red states like Alabama were undercounted. This is just a fact. It wasn't all red-blue, but it was disproportionately red-blue.
Do you think
Democrats don't follow the rules, they rewrite them. For decades, they've played political hardball while calling Republicans the problem. They're the ones that spied on Trump, impeached him twice, raided Republican homes, censured lawmakers, and now they're letting nonprofits steal tax dollars, and schools are pushing secret agendas. One Virginia high school is reportedly arranging and paying for student abortions without telling the parents. This is a party that thinks they own your kids. They're also mutilating our children, something Nancy Pelosi just yesterday says she still stands behind.
How is your office responding to the pauses in gender affirming care here in California?
Well, that is something that I'm working for at the national level, and we have, are hoping that we can have gender affirming care for our trans kids.
Gender affirming care for kids, it is reckless. Irreversible drugs, surgeries, decisions on undeveloped minds, that's not care. It's child abuse. This party, they have corrupted our schools, our sports, our courts, and now they want to rewrite the entire political map. They lost every swing state. Their donors are drained, and they're clinging to power through gerrymandering and illegal immigration.
Democrats rigged the 2020 census by including illegal aliens. Remember, they sued Donald Trump. They sued the administration. They fought tooth and nail to include illegal aliens in the census. 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist but for illegal aliens. Texas is taking just a small corrective step against this ocean of fraud, this ocean of abuse by the corrupt Democrat Party.
The days of rigged maps are numbered. President Trump just dropped a nuke of his own on Truth Social. He wrote, quote, "I have instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024. People who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census." See, the left used illegals to boost their numbers and steal power. And Trump says, never again. With the census due in 2025, the clock is obviously ticking, and it could cost Democrats up to 20 electoral votes. MSNBC knows it, and they're already melting down.
Could really be the unraveling of our democratic system if we start getting into a situation where states are just trying to rack up the numbers and paying no attention to their constituents.
That's rich, considering Democrats have been playing this game for decades. Now, if Republicans don't step up and fix this, we're just going to get another Trump impeachment, amnesty for millions, and more taxpayer-funded sex change surgeries in foreign countries. Governor Abbott in Texas, he's not playing anymore. He's issuing arrest warrants for Democrats who fled the state to break quorum.
Here's what we're doing. One is we have arrest warrants out for all of them. If there are some in Texas, which I understand that there may be, the Texas Department of Public Safety is searching for them. We'll find them and we'll arrest them and take them to the Texas Capitol. Those who are out of state, think that they are beyond the reach of Texas law enforcement, and that they may or may not be. But for one, when they come back, they're not going to go to their cozy home. They will be arrested and taken to the Capitol. But know this, it's my understanding that the FBI is going to search for these derelict Texas House members in whatever state they may be in and help identify for them and maybe work with us to bring them back.
The governor didn't stop there. He's now involving the Supreme Court.
I filed a petition in the Texas Supreme Court that begins the removal process of these absconding Democrat members. And the Supreme Court responded immediately last night and told the leading Democrat in this cause, his name is Gene Wu, that he has to respond to my petition by Friday, where we're going to begin the process of trying to remove these absconding Democrats from office.
The Democrat lawmakers who ignored today's deadline and still refuse to show up for work are about to face some harsh consequences. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, he says he is now moving forward with removing them from office. See, the reason Democrats are panicking is because a new census would potentially subtract 20 electoral votes from Democrats in the Electoral College system, as congressional seat appropriation is directly correlated with Electoral College totals. Over in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, he is all in on the idea of a new census that would weed out the illegals.
Ron, they include anybody that happens to be in your state.
Well, California would lose like 5 seats if they did a fair census. And even beyond that, the Biden census gypped Florida of at least 1 seat. We only got 1 seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had 1 seat in that? We should have had at least 2. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives and the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature will redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
Just to be clear, the reason Texas is now trying to redraw district lines is to be more representative of the Hispanic population. And the Democrats' response? Just add more stars to the nation's flag. Meantime, the president keeps delivering wins for the American people. New numbers just dropped from the Census Bureau, and they show which families did the best financially under Biden versus Trump. Who would you say your wallet prospered better under? My guess, most Americans are going to say Trump. Here's what the data showed.
From the Census Bureau that shows by income percentage. So the 25th percentile is the lowest income, 75th percentile is the highest income. And what I find fascinating about this, Mr. President, is every income group did better. The red is President Trump, the blue is President Biden. Every single income group did better under President Trump. But what's really amazing is look what happened under Biden. The lowest income group lost income under Biden. They were poor 4 years after Biden's presidency. No gain virtually whatsoever for the middle class. And the rich was the only group that did better under Biden, which is ironic because Biden keeps saying he was trying to get rid of income inequality. He made income inequality worse, not better.
And here's what that looks like in your wallet.
Mr. President, these are the numbers in dollar terms. So even the lowest income 25th percent gained about $4,000 in income. That's a lot for a lower income family. $6,400 for the middle class and almost $10,000 for the richest. So you can see every income group did better under Trump than Biden by a wide margin.
Let's fast forward now to 2028. Trump's performance has set the stage for a potential J.D. Vance presidential run.
Look, this is early polling, but look, for the GOP nomination, it's J.D. Vance at 40%. There's no one even close to him. Ron DeSantis back at single digits at 8%. Donald Trump Jr. back at 7%. And I know Kate Baldwin will say, Harry, it's so early. It's too early to look at the polling.
You said it. You don't even need me to say it.
I said it, quoting you. I was channeling you. But keep in mind that early favorites have actually gone on to win the nomination 63% of the time, those who have run since 1980. And when you're dealing with fields that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, upwards of north of 20, and all of a sudden you're telling me that the early poll leader, who is J.D. Vance, that those win more than 50% of the time? That is why I say it looks pretty gosh darn good, or pretty good for the man from Ohio.
Is J.D. Vance your pick for 2028? Because personally, I'm still watching Marco Rubio. I think he brings a little more experience and polish. The big question, though, is Who will President Trump endorse? Just last week, Trump said Vance was a clear frontrunner.
President Trump, has said some pretty gosh darn favorable things about J.D. Vance over the last week and his chances perhaps in 2028. Look at this. Times Trump endorses in GOP primaries, and that person goes on to win. Look at this. In 2020, 98%. 2022, 95%. 2024, 96%. If Donald Trump decides to get behind his vice president, this GOP nomination fight in 2028 is likely adios amigos over. J.D. Vance is very much likely going to be the GOP nominee, which is what the polling says and what his history says as well.
And here's J.D. Vance responding today during his meeting with the UK Foreign Secretary about the president essentially saying he's the one to beat.
I don't want to talk about lowly things like politics in this grand house. Come on. Look, I think my view on the politics of 2028 is I'm not really focused even on the election in 2026, much less 2 years after that. And if we do a good job for the American people, the politics will take care of itself. So I'm going to try to do a good job for the American people, just as David's trying to do a good job for the people of the UK.
President Trump has no doubt reshaped the Republican Party, and soon that torch will be in somebody else's hands. The question is, who has the backbone to carry it forward? Who's ready to finish what he started, to dismantle the deep state, keep the border closed, fix the rigged system, and fight for us, not the donor class, and certainly not the swamp? Let me know in the comments, who do you trust to carry Trump's torch in 2028? Up next, Caitlin Collins over at CNN, she gets humiliated when she tries to fact-check a Republican congressman on live television. Plus, Jasmine Crockett, she tries to land a punch on Trump, but instead ends up embarrassing herself like never before. That and so many other major headlines in this next video you see now on your screen. Go ahead, click on it. I'll see you over there, and have a fabulous weekend.